Hello, welcome to Intellify. I'm Srijana and today I'm going to explain question number 8 of chapter 6 of part B of Political Science, class 12. The question says, discuss the effects of emergency on the following aspects of our polity. A. Effects on civil liberties for citizens. B. Impact on relationship between the executive and judiciary. C. Functioning of mass media. D. Working of police and bureaucracy. We will go one by one on the following subparts. A. Effect on civil liberties of the citizens. First, the government made large-scale arrests under the preventive detention. Under this, 1,00,000 people were arrested, and it impacted the daily lives of the common people as they were continuously harassed under this detention. Second, arrested political persons could not challenge arrest even under the habeas corpus petition, which determines whether the confinement is a violation of the constitutional right or not. So basically, the habeas corpus could not be used to question the arrests that was taking place during that time. Third, despite of filing many petitions, government claimed it not to be necessary to be informed on the grounds to the arrested persons. So the bureaucracy and the police now got increased power that was unchecked by criticism and exposure from the press, as well as the courts, the opposition MLAs and MPs. So it abused its power, which affected the poor people the most. Lastly, in April 1976, finally it was proved that the government could take away citizens' right to life and liberty by overruling of high courts under the Supreme Court and accept government's plea. So any kind of civil right that was overruled by the high courts could not take place as the Supreme Court would rule out the High Court's decision. Now the second subpart, that is B, impact on relationship between executive and judiciary. So the parliament was made utterly ineffective. The opposition of MPs were nullified as the speeches were not permitted to be recorded and reported to the press. The state governments were rigidly controlled, and a series of decrees, laws, and constitutional amendments reduced the power of the judiciary to check the functioning of the executive. The parliament brought in many new changes in the constitution, which made an amendment declaring that elections of the prime minister, the president, and the vice president could not be challenged in the court. Secondly, in November 1976, an effort was made to change the basic civil libertarian structure of the Constitution through the 42nd Amendment Act, putting an end to the judicial review of the constitutional amendment because it was said that the judiciary was obstructing apparently the pro-poor socio-economic measures such as the land reform legislation in the name of defending the fundamental right. So the 42nd Amendment was also passed to bring a series of changes in the constitutions, like the duration of legislatures, elections can be postponed by 1 year during an emergency. The third subpart, functioning of mass media. So most of the mainstream media, newspapers and magazines were under the wrath of emergency. The scissors of censors cut through big publishers like that of Himmat, Janata, Frontier, and some were even threatened to be thrown out of the publications, while the others were put to jail. So the press censorship took place, which banned the freedom of press, and newspapers were supposed to prior approval before they published any material. So they were supposed to take approval from the government in order to publish any material. And media companies such as RSS and the Janata Island were banned. Secondly, there were protest strikes and public agitations that was also banned so that nobody could protest against the measures taken by the government. Various fundamental rights were also suspended, including even right to move to court for restoration of the fundamental rights. The fundamental rights were indirectly made less effective by being made subordinate to the directive principles of the state policy, which was only an expanded version that was embodied in the constitution and did not hold as much as importance as the fundamental rights, which talked about the basic rights of the people. So even that right was taken away from the people to proceed to the courts. The highest right, that was the habeas corpus, which in which people could challenge the arrests, whether it was the violation of a constitution or not, that was also taken away from the people. Fourthly, Kannada writer Shivarama Karant, awarded with Padma Bhushan, and Hindi writer Fani Shawarnath Tleno, who was awarded with Padma Shri, returned their awards in protest against the suspension of democracy. Lastly, newspapers, mainly like Indian Express and Statesman, protested against the censorship through their editions. They basically left blank spaces where the news items were censored, which actually reflected their protests against the government censoring the media. On the last subpart, which asks for the working of police and bureaucracy, that would be a combination of both the subparts of answer A and answer B. So that is it for the question. Hope this helped. Thank you.